man's best friend. Now, I think we all know exactly what I'm referring to whenever I say that. No, not your handbag or your new pair of shoes, ladies. And no, not your truck or your boys. I'm talking about the thing that will drag you to the park to chase that squirrel, or will tear up your couch cushions just because they're bored whenever you're not at home. If I haven't given you enough clues, I'm talking about dogs. More importantly, what you're feeding your dog. So today I will go over the dog food industry and why they may not always be as loyal to you as your friendly companion, how and why major dog brands trick you, and what the alternative will be. Let's talk about the dog food aisle at your local store or pet store. It's full of colors and bags of varying brands of dog food. My question is, which do you choose? Do you choose the cheapest one out of sheer availability and price? Do you go for the name brands that you've seen on TV? Or do you pick the most healthy looking dog food you can buy? If you said yes to any of these, I'm going to have to bark up your tree for a second. You may have just made the wrong choice after all. On Walmart.com, when you search up dog foods, it gives you an option to select top brands, in the list that pops up, you'll see Pedigree, Purina, and Iams, 3 of the biggest dog brands that there are in the world. While this in itself isn't completely bad, I want to take a look at the ingredients that are listed on the back in small print. Namely, Pedigree Complete Nutrition Adult Dry Dog Food, Grilled Steak and Vegetable Flavor, which is the yellow bag with that really adorable, happy-looking golden retriever. You know the one I'm talking about. The first ingredient you'll see is ground whole grain corn. Corn is known to make dogs obese and unhealthy. So why is that the first ingredient, you may be asking? Let's go up down the rank then. Whole grain corn, then meat and bone meal, corn glycerin meal, animal fat, omega-6 fatty acids, and for the sake of your time and mine, I'll just tell you where the official meat of this dog food is. The chicken byproduct is the 8th ingredient listed. In 2016 documentary Pet Food, they take an in-depth look into the pet food industry and expose major dog food brands like Blue and Purina for what they are. Liars. On March 15, 2007, the FDA learned that certain foods were sickening and killing cats and dogs. The FDA found contaminates in vegetables and proteins imported to the U.S. from China, using ingredients in pet food. This was various brands owned by the same company. This company had failed to inform the FDA of their mistake for days on days, leading to the death of thousands and thousands of dogs and cats. While, yes, all this is really bad, there are brands out there who you can trust. Pure Balance, a dog food found only at Walmart, is unquestionably a great alternative to the major brands. Its first ingredient is chicken, along with that you'll find no corn listed. Now, let's talk about why these dog food brands want to trick you into buying their food. And to talk about that, we gotta talk about money first. According to www.statistica.com, in 2019, pet food was the highest-selling pet market product category, and it was projected to maintain to the top spot in 2020, when the sales were projected to reach around $38.4 billion. Within the pet food segment, dry dog food was the highest selling food, followed by dry and wet cat food. After private label, Pedigree is the leading brand for dry dog food according to the sales figures. Now, you may be asking, well, what does that have to do with tricking us? They're tricking you because they want your money. You see, there's billions and billions of dollars in this industry. Wouldn't you trick somebody just to get some cash in your pocket? They would. And now you're asking, isn't this illegal? No, it's not. Let me introduce you to the to the AAFOC. It's an organization that sets all the standards for pet food, including nutritional ratios, ingredients allowances, and the terminology that's allowed on packaging, which we'll talk about in just a minute. While the AAFCO works with the Food and Drug Administration, it's important to note that the AAFCO doesn't actually approve products for safety. They have no regulatory authority, and the government is not regulated. And they're not government regulated, which means they don't care about you or your pets, honestly. Maybe you're reading the nutritional label before buying your dog food. If so, that's great, but reading labels is just like a tip of an iceberg. Underneath that, there's lots of things that you don't know. If you really want to know what's in your dog food, it's important for you to know how to navigate through this terminology. For example, food labeled with dinner, nuggets, or formula, they only actually contain 25% of meat. Foods labeled with chicken, beef, foods labeled with chicken, with beef, or with any other protein, they only contain 3% of meat. Flavor is perhaps the worst term because the dog's foods labeled with the word flavor, they don't contain meat at all. Another thing many concerned pet parents look for on food labels is the protein percentage. While yes, it's smart to check this, it may not actually come from meat. According to Petfood, the protein source may have derived from wheat flour or gluten that's been fortified with protein. Another example is how the AAFOC defines natural as. This is a quote. They define natural as a food ingredient derived solely from plant, animal, or mine sources, either in its unprocessed state or having been subject to physical processing, heat processing, rendering, purification, extraction, hydrolysis, enzymolysis, or fermentation, but not having been produced by or subject to a chemical synthetic process, and not containing any additives or processing aids that are chemically synthetic except in amounts as might occur in good manufacturing practices. Chances are you've seen the term byproduct too. What does that really mean? Well, in the documentary, byproduct explained as what's the leftover after an animal has been slaughtered or all the edible parts that have been removed. That means feathers, hooves, teeth, etc. Stuff us humans can't actually eat. But here's another question. Where does the rendered parts come from? Maybe from a slaughterhouse, euthanized animals, roadkill, or human food waste. Petfood states, according to the National Renders Association, if there wasn't anything to put the animal waste from the human food industry, where would it go? And all these powerful terms coupled with pictures of dogs eating and looking happy and just eating all the food, that makes a powerful statement to trick your mind into thinking that you're buying something that'll be healthy and happy for your food. Now you may be asking, what's the alternative if I don't want to feed my dog kibble food anymore? Well, there's all sorts of things you can do, like the fresh food diet, which is feeding dogs a diet made with natural real ingredients such as beef, chicken, lamb, peas, spinach, carrots, and blueberries. And it can do wonders for their overall well-being. It promotes healthy hearts, increases energy, making coats shiny, make their breath smell better, and it improves eyesight. And it even impacts a dog's stool. Now that would be cooked. The barf diet is an acronym for biologically appropriate raw foods. It's basically that except raw. Then there's Then there's the raw meat-based diets. These diets are typically consist of uncooked animal muscles, organs. It's basically the raw diet, but different, kind of.